button all
Or
over
to
my.
this computer. Okay.
I love it.
So I feel like even though the uprising
Yeah,
it was a few weeks ago now, it was almost 3 weeks ago.
I know.
There's so much that we learned at that
Mhm.
event. How did you originally meet Mark? Did you go to one of his events and
Okay,
that's
so
how you met
you
him?
need to press the record button so we can go into it, and we just record what we got here.
Yeah, no, I did. It's recording.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, whoops. Okay, it is. I just noticed. So what happened was I met him when he had the social slam, which was like the event that he told you that had hundreds of people. So I met him at that event and he was the keynote speaker, obviously. And I went up to him right after because I'm one of those people, I'm like, I need to meet the author. And he had a book signing. And I'm like, I just moved here from Florida. What would someone like him be interested in talking about with me while he's signing the book? I'm like, do you golf? And he's like, no, I don't like golfing. So I was like, crap, what am I going to talk to him about? But it was nice, we kept in touch, and I sent him a Christmas card. I sent him a holiday card,
That's
and
nice.
I did one of those things, like a holiday, to be politically correct, a holiday card. And the thing is that, we kept in touch. I started following him on Twitter, and I think that's what, like the magic of Twitter, which is I think now Instagram. It's like that you can have that communication with people, and it's not sales pitchy, it's organic, it's engaging, it's not sales pitchy. So we kept in touch. And then I sent him a birthday card the following year, and he's like, hey, you can probably do a panel discussion with your eyes closed in your sleep about social media. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So then he had Social Slam the following year. I was extremely pregnant with a tight red dress because I was like, when you're pregnant, you might as well flaunt the tummy. And I was one of the panelists in his social media discussion. And we just stayed in touch. I've been to his house with his wife. I've gotten to know him over the years, and that was a long time ago. So let's say it was like 13 years ago. So then when he had the Uprising, event, it was small and intimate. So I've been going. This was my fifth time attending. So it's just, I love the group. I love that it's held to like a minimum amount, like 30 or so people. And
Yeah.
you really like, as you saw, you really like bond with the people. You really engage with them. You become friends with people. And no matter what's going on, and I've had stuff happen to me when I'm there, I've had a death in the family. You just keep going on when you're there.
It was so interesting to me because I've only been to conferences or I've held my own offsites with my team.
Yeah.
I had never been to one for someone else before.
Yeah.
And so, just planning my own things was very different. I mean, it's so different when you're doing it for your own business
Yeah.
versus attending somebody else's for somebody else's company. But, going into it, I had heard from you and I had heard from a couple others
Mhm.
what the vibe was going to be like, but
Yeah.
I didn't realize what I was going to feel when I left. And
Yeah.
even in the moment, and I had mentioned this to you, I felt like there was so much going on when we were there. There were so many people to talk to,
Yeah.
but there, and everyone was at all different phases of being a marketer. I don't even know if that's
Yeah.
the right thing to say, but different role, everyone had different
Yeah.
roles, different types of businesses,
Mhm.
different industries. Everyone was so unique and so different, but so knowledgeable, and everyone wanted to bring something to the table for
Yeah.
somebody else. And it was so genuine and it
Yeah.
was so I'm still so blown away by that because
Yeah.
I'm not used to other people wanting to also give in
Yeah,
that.
and I think it might be the mentality that you're coming from the north.
Yeah.
That's a different perspective. I grew up in Miami with people from the north, so that's why I know how to hang out with people like you guys. But then I lived in the south. And so it's like, and I think it's not even the north or the south. I think it's just the mindset that you go in there, that you're there to help people. You're there to be in camaraderie, like you be in friendship, have that bond with them. And I think that's what makes the event so special. And then the topics discussed, those are heavy topics that we covered. And you feel safe to put your thoughts out there. You're not worried about what the person next to you might think about you, because we all deal with imposter syndrome. We've actually talked about this in the past, but I feel like we're all so into it that we're not afraid to put ourselves out there talking about this.
Yeah, which is also so unique, by the way, because most
Yeah.
people don't feel comfortable enough to be like, yep, I've got imposter syndrome. Yep,
Yeah.
I'm afraid to do this. Yep, I
Yeah.
feel this way. And, Mark really led by example when he really started that first day with
Yeah.
kind of being vulnerable and not like vulnerable in a way to be viral. He was
Yeah.
vulnerable in a way to really level set and to go first and to put everybody at ease from the beginning, whether or not that was intentional that he was doing that.
Hmm.
He did it. I mean, it was so unique. It was so interesting to me. But the
Yeah.
non-judgmental thing,
Hmm.
everyone was there. And this is a marketing offsite. I mean, we're all there to talk about marketing, but I loved his presentation when he started talking about fear. And I have
Yeah.
a couple of notes. So the
Yes,
one
I got my little notebook here with me too.
I do too.
So, so I have like the thing that stood out to me is the reframing the uncertainty and the different types of uncertainty. I think I like the fact that he broke it down for me. And his talk was very similar to the talk that he discussed during COVID when we were all feeling uncertain and what are the things that we can actually control. What
Yeah.
are the things that you can control? It kind of reminded me of his talk that he did during COVID, several times that he did. But what is the wisdom? What is the knowing that we want to hold on to? What clears the fog?
Yeah. Yeah, it was so powerful. And the act before you feel ready, follow the fear. I mean, these are all things, the things that he's talking about are really the things that I would say everyone there
Yeah.
kind of lives by
Hmm.
in terms of, just being open to having the conversation. Because there's a lot of people that I think would attend something like this for
Hmm.
marketing, but it's really abstract because it really ultimately what's going around in your brain, what's happening around you ultimately is going to affect your work product too. It's going to
Exactly.
affect how you interact with clients. It's going to
Yeah.
affect how other people interact with you when you're working, if you're working on a team, if you're working with other teams. But it's that what fear is real that he was talking about. Is it
Hmm.
is it real if it's in 7 minutes? Is it real for 7 days, for 7 years, 7 months?
Yes. Yeah, I remember that seven number. Yeah, and the stuff that he mentioned, the seam, that was something that was he mentioned it in that day, and then it spread out throughout the next 2 days, the seam. What is the competitive advantage? What is it that you offer? Is it that vulnerability? Is it that authenticity that you're gonna, say how you feel? You're gonna say, you know what, I'm a mom with two kids. I have a different perspective. I'm very empathetic because of that. So, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that you say that because a lot of times, at least for myself over the last year or so, I've been trying to figure out, even for me, I do this with my clients. It's so much easier, Valentina, for me anyways, to help clients versus myself. But
Yes.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I think that that's a marketer's, what's the
Dilemma.
word? Yeah, that's it, the marketer's dilemma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thinking about the things that I bring to the table. I mean, he really triggered so much thought
Yeah.
in just how I approach my day-to-day life
Hmm.
because it all compounds into what I'm working on and what that really looks like. And, a lot of the questions, like one of the questions he wrote down, how has fear propelled your career?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, people say to me, "Oh, you're so brave and you're
Yeah.
so strong and you do all these things." And I'm like, "Well, I didn't have a choice. And I knew that if I wanted to get from point A to point B, I had to get in the car and drive."
Yeah.
So to me, I don't really think it's like being strong or brave. I think it's just taking chances and kind of leaning into fear. And I think with AI, which is also interesting, I think there's a lot of people that are afraid of it. So
Hmm.
it stops them. Like I would say anyone who's over the age of 40 that hasn't embraced it yet, it's because of fear,
Yeah.
from what
Yeah.
I've seen anyway. I know that's
Yeah.
kind of a broad statement, but
Yeah, I've been doing this for 14 years, working for myself, and you have to be self-motivated. And people are like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "If I don't post a picture of myself, if I don't post about myself, my competitor will, and they'll think of my competitor." And I'm a mom too. I want to pay for these classes and the extracurricular activities and the trips, all the expensive stuff that kids want these days. If I don't do those things, it's gonna take how many interactions? It might have changed in the past couple of years, but usually it's between 12 to 50 interactions to close a sale. So it's gonna take those so many times, those types of posts consistently going to those networking things that you don't want to go to really build that clientele. So that fear, oh, am I gonna do a good job? It's not so much doing it. It's not the type of quality. It's just doing the work.
Yeah, the fear of I struggle with this a lot. I overcommit myself, as
Yeah,
you know, to a lot. And
yeah,
I a lot of times I'll say yes, 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 and then I'll
yeah.
be, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. Why did I say yes to everything? I made this commitment to this person. I made this commitment to that person. And a lot of times like I go through not imposter syndrome, but sometimes just the energy of being around so many people, talking about so many things, and just
Hmm.
everyone just coming at me, I get very overwhelmed with that.
Yeah,
And, sitting there listening to Mark and him saying, you have to act before you feel ready. No, I'm not necessarily ready to get
yeah,
up and go talk in front of 1,000 people. No, I don't really think that I'm ready for that, but I just know I have to do it because in order to get myself from where I am right now to where I want to be, you have to
yeah.
do those things.
Yeah, and I actually break it down. Like I said, I want to put my kids in this type of class. I want to do these extracurricular activities. I want to go on that trip. So I'll be vulnerable. I'll be like, yeah, I want to pay for these things, but to pay for these things, you're gonna have to do these things that you don't want to do, which is showing up, going to these places, talking to the people, following up with them. What I really liked about what he said was the dispensing hope. So I do this type of service, I do this type of consulting, but I'm dispensing hope, and that's the big need that people need. They need someone to give them hope because the world is so heavy for some.
No, it's so true. Yes, the world of hope. It's interesting just even looking through my notes and the things that he was talking about. Opportunity comes from the seams transcending, which
Mhm.
for I would say for the average person who's attending a marketing conference, if they're sitting there and hearing that, I don't know, would they be open to it? Or maybe this is just the way that these events, these in-person events, just have to go now because of hope, because people need to hear all of these things. And the other thing I was going to tell you too, Valentina, one of the notes that I wrote down is
Mhm.
great marketing requires uncertainty, which I know you've
I
said
was gonna say
before.
that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that next. You're so funny.
And it's like there's so much that's not
Yeah.
certain.
Yeah.
Exactly what you just said, like going
Yeah.
to these things, posting, doing all this, like we don't know what's going to happen. We
Yeah.
just know what we want the end result to be. So we focus on that end result and
Yeah.
just hope that doing all those little things in between is going to result into what we want.
Yeah, that was so good. It's so funny that we both mentioned that. That was my next point. It's those type of things. And he was doing the analogy of like times that we live in. You have to live in a time of hope. He talked about how there's this beautiful thing called jazz in the 20s, but then, all the stuff that happened in the 1920s, and the depression and this and that. But now we think back, those were such horrible times, and then everyone's stressed out about these times, but people are living longer. They're younger, they look younger, hopefully, and
Yeah.
they're more educated. So there is the balance. You have to find the optimistic side of things when you're thinking about these things and showing that to your clients. And, I think you have to handhold people at this point.
Yeah, well, which is another note that I wrote that he said in his presentation. Leaders dispense hope. So that's exactly what you're saying, like being that person for your clients, doing the things, going above and beyond, letting them see kind of the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
Hope is the strategy behind the strategy. I just
Yeah.
love that. It's so
Yeah,
good.
I was just talking to someone that's a potential client, and I'm like, I'm going to show you how to market yourself with LinkedIn or Instagram, but I also do an extra thing where I'm going to go with you at a networking event in person, and I'm going to be your buddy. I'm going to be your accountability buddy. I'm the one that's going to introduce you to people that might be important for your business. And that what is it? What would it be the word? Like the buddy system, the friendship, that thing that you can't pay for someone to do that for you these days. But it's like a friendship, a relationship you build with someone.
Yeah.
And that is so important because people don't know how to market themselves online and much less in person when it's scary.
Yeah.
Especially after COVID, I feel like people are they're socially deprived and socially anxious.
Oh, totally. I totally have social anxiety, 100%. A
Yeah,
lot of times I will talk myself through it and I'll work through it and that'll be that and I move on. But, when you're working in isolation, which I do a lot of, I
me
mean,
too. Yeah,
yes, you're the same way,
yeah,
but you're so much better about getting out and networking in person
yeah.
with other people, where a lot of times I hold myself back because I have some social anxiety. And not only that, but a lot of times I feel like people expect some sort of a performance from me.
Wow.
So a lot of times I
So
don't,
deep.
I know, but it's true, but that's exactly how I feel.
Do
And
you
that,
think that you put when you're posting stuff online that it's a different side of you than what you are in person?
no, I don't.
Okay.
I don't now, but I
Okay.
think at one point I did feel that way and I really pulled back.
Yeah.
For like 6 weeks, I didn't post anything because I felt totally disconnected and I felt like it was disingenuous and I didn't feel that it was symbolizing where I am and where I've been and where I'm going. I felt like I was performing for an algorithm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of
I love the posts that you do with your kids or when you're talking about being a mom. And that's the authenticity. Like that's the stuff that we want to see because you tie it into the business. You
yeah,
tie it into what it is you're doing, your bigger mission, your bigger goal, what's going to align you with the right people. I love it when when you talk about the mama bear stuff.
I know, me too. And by the way, you do such a great job of positioning yourself the same way. I mean,
Yeah.
you really do. And the fact that you're a speaker and that you're out there, and that's really something that I've been working on is, I'm working on it and
Yeah.
getting myself to that next step and the next step and the next step that I think a lot of people, you just have to keep every day, you just have to do something else and something else and something else. And being at the uprising was very validating to me in many ways, but I would say the biggest way is that I'm thinking the things that other people are also thinking. When Mark was
Hmm.
talking about fear and he's
Yeah.
talking about uncertainty, like these are things that I think about all the time and that I
Yeah.
talk about. And hearing someone else with that amount of experience and
Yeah.
the track record of success that Mark has with all of his accomplishments, it really made me feel. And then listening to all these other people speaking on topics that I'm very well versed in. It was very validating for me. And I felt like I found people who understand me. And I think
Mhm.
that's a big part as when you're a creator, especially when you're creating for others and you're doing it for yourself. A lot of times there's like a missing element or a link to the humanity of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I love what Sarah Neely was talking about the Chipotle example and the five it was the five C's and then ended up being the seven C's. But I love how she tied in that soccer pro that spoke to the group of girls about the ingredients behind the Chipotle menu and how
Yeah.
that campaign increased by 70%. That's a big number, 70% branded search in that metro area and as opposed to people thinking, what am I going to have for dinner? Because I don't know about you, but that was the stress of my life right now. Is like, what is going to be for dinner every day? And then
Yes.
for that to increase by 70% the branded search in that Forbes article, how those types of things, those grassroots events, help propel that brand in a local level.
Yeah, I loved her framework that she had.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it. When she was talking, I was like, "Oh my God, I need to talk to this woman like even more."
Yeah.
Um, I even have in my notes, I love her framework.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
one thing
Yeah.
that she said that I loved was she said, "Build a layer easy for AI to understand."
Wow.
And
I
that's
love that.
something I know. I loved it too. I love, love, love that. Um, Yes, so the 5 C's of AI discoverability that she talked about, clarity, conversation, convert, I think that's is that convert?
I have the sheet of
I,
paper
I,
right
I
here.
can't read my head. Oh, is this a convert? I'm reading my notes.
Yeah, it's clarity, conversation, current, credible,
Current, credible, and
composition,
composition.
and then
And then calibrate
calibrate
and
and
cultivate, right?
cultivate. And the one that I wrote it down. Calibrate means try new things, and then cultivate is how you assess things by quarters,
Yeah.
maybe assess things by weeks.
Yeah.
That's what I understood from her talk. Yeah.
It was so, so, so good. It was so good. I loved her framework for share also, the surprising, helpful, authentic, relevant, and experience. I
Hmm.
thought that was phenomenal. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
that was good. And then the gentleman, I call it the three amigos with the AI beyond the prompt. I'm like, they did this great case study of how it would be great if the uprising was in Porto, Portugal. And I even bought a puzzle. I'm like pointing in that direction. It was so interesting, all the tools. And I since then I started using Whisper Flow. I'm almost at the end of the free trial, which is the voice to text tool. I even wrote my last blog post utilizing whisper flow. I just spoke.
Oh,
I basically regurgitated the notes
yeah.
and it wrote it up because there were some things that I highlighted as a consultant, and I said, okay, I really want to mention this and that, and it was like all the tools they said about Notebook LM, Gemini, Claude, all that stuff. It
Damn.
was so good. What was your big takeaway?
With them, so I immediately ordered Plod when when they were presenting. So
Yeah.
I got that. So it literally it looks like a credit card. I put it in my wallet. It's essentially this like little, it really is the size of a credit card that
Yeah.
records. So I downloaded the app. I,
Have you heard it since then? Like that's the thing. Like I see people buying it, but I'm like, who has the time other than when you're doing laundry or making dinner that you're gonna rehear the whole thing,
I
right?
know. You have to remember, I mean, that's the one thing. When I do client calls, I record them and I'm
Okay.
listening, but having to remember if I'm going to a meeting that I remember to use it and that it's synced. And then what I really like about it is it has different templates that
Okay.
you can automatically convert it to once where the call is done or whatever the recording is finished. So that
Okay.
was one. The other thing, before the uprising, I was only using ChatGPT and Perplexity. Those were my
Mhm.
main two. But I have
Yeah.
to tell you, I started using Claude when we got back.
Yeah.
Completely up-leveled what I was doing. I mean, it has completely changed the way that I have approached my strategies, my workflow. I mean, it's so significantly superior to ChatGPT.
Wow.
It is, and I consider myself to be a power user of ChatGPT and
Yeah.
Perplexity. I'm in those tools at least 5 hours a day. Like at least,
Wow.
yes.
Huh.
So I'm doing a lot with editing and writing and asset curation, um, and just building with my clients in those tools.
Yeah.
I will say Claude is more expensive than
I
those other
noticed that
tools.
the sticker price is a little shocking for me.
Yeah, but you want to know something? To me, I
Tell me.
look at it like, what's the cost of not using it?
There you go. That's the mic. If we had to put a mic drop moment,
Yeah,
that's your mic drop moment
that was
there.
that was really a big takeaway for me
Yeah.
was learning about how much more superior Claude is to
Mhm.
Perplexity. I mean, if I had to say one thing as the takeaway from the entire uprising that changed my business, that would be it.
Oh my God. I was gonna say what Joe Polizzi said with Mark, which was, hold on, I got it here because I wrote it in a different color. Where are you telling the story that no one is telling?
Yes, that was a really good one. I wrote that question down too.
That, like, ever since then, like, that one, like, they were going so crazy.
Yeah,
So he backed up the whisper flow, like, that he uses it. But it's like, it was so good. And he talked about, the scary is the stuff that you should be posting. Like, the stuff that
yeah.
scares you to write out is the stuff that you should be, posting out there for content.
Yeah. No, Joe's talk was
Yeah.
excellent with Mark. What do you want to be known for was one of the questions that I wrote down.
Hmm.
Another one that I wrote down, that I was, most of the world is so boring, is not a question, is a statement.
Yeah.
And, what I see a lot of, Valentina, and I bet you see this too, is that there's almost this personal brand guilt thing that happens.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean by that? I'm gonna have a sip of
Okay.
water while you say
Okay.
that. Yeah.
So personal brand guilt is it comes from those who haven't done anything yet with themselves for putting themselves out there in their
Mm,
career, right? So that doesn't mean that they haven't gotten to where they have been because they haven't taken the steps. They have.
yeah.
But when it comes to putting themselves on a stage, on a platform online, on a podcast, etc.
Hmm.
So what I see a lot of people is saying, okay, I have this guilt that I haven't done it. So I'm gonna just go to ChatGPT or Claude, and I'm going
Hmm.
to create 25 posts and I'm just going to prompt it and I'm just going to use whatever is there. So my
Yeah.
newsletters, my content,
Yeah.
everything is going to come directly from there. And I really have no voice because I'm using the voice of a machine, which defeats the entire purpose of having a voice. And when they said most of the world is so boring, it's and then the question is, where are you telling the story no one else is telling? Because that's the thing. That's how people find people that they know, like, and trust. They're
Yeah,
not.
and before you keep going, two books that everyone should read is Known by Mark Schaefer. Like that's the book that separates me. There's pre-Valentina after reading before and after reading that. And then Joe, I had dinner with him and that Burn the Playbook, that book, that's so good. But in the Known book, Mark talks about the why. Only I. What is it that you do that no one else does? Like, or only we if you work for a company. Only we, only I. That has been my North Star. So when it comes
So
to the
good.
storytelling and people that use the AI, there's people that do it. And it's like, are we gonna blame them? Because if they don't use the AI, then they're not gonna post. So we can't like judge them for using that.
Um,
But we also they need to inject some storytelling. So that's the
that,
only I. feel like everyone should throw that into their prompt. Only I. What is it that you do that no one
that's
else
such a
does?
good point. That's
Yeah.
such a good point. Yeah, I mean, what happened in that meeting 15 years ago? What did you experience?
Yeah.
What was the room like? What were
Mm-hmm.
you doing before the meeting? What happened after? What were the takeaways? I mean, there
Yeah.
are so many different story prompts that someone can find that really shows thought leadership versus just what I call the personal brand guilt, which is
Yeah.
I just have to do this because everyone else is doing it. And it was like years ago, I was
Yeah.
working in the auto industry and everyone was like, all right, we need to be on social media. We need a
Yeah.
YouTube, we need a Facebook, we need a Twitter, we just need Instagram, we need to check the box.
Yeah.
And so that box checking thing, we're all seeing happening, which is what the AI slop, in my opinion anyway, is. And there's such an easy way around it by finding and pulling some of those things. So you don't have to be boring like the rest of the world.
Yeah, and before the animal stuff, she said something. She was asking a question. This is what I love about the Uprising is that you can interject and ask questions and have like little discussions before the next speaker. But she said something that really stood in my tracks, stopped in my tracks. I said, people want someone to take care of them.
Yeah.
And I'm a two on the Enneagram if you're into the Enneagram, but I'm the caring type. I want to be there for people. Like I love introducing people to people, especially if they're shy or introverted. I like to help them. And I think about that and I wrote about it in my blog post recap. I, as a consultant, I want to help people. I want to take care of them. I want to know that I can take care of them. Because, hiring a consultant is not cheap. So you want to make sure that you have it might not be a friend, but someone advocate for you.
Hmm. That's so,
Yeah.
yeah, I loved what Dana said. Trust is safety.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's so true. And I wrote down seen, heard, valued, and valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Mark really embodies
Yeah.
all of that within a community space because he really showed us what community is. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, through the uprising and, through just the event and through the online community that he has.
The Rise group, yeah. I think that it's so beneficial for anyone that goes to the Uprising to stay in contact with the people in the Rise group with
Yeah.
the monthly chats that we do. I feel like that's so helpful with the community, knowing that you have those buddies. Like there's people I'd never met in real life, but then I met them at the Uprising because of the Rise. And it's like we're already buddies. We just happen to now take a picture in real life.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Was it was so thought-provoking. It was not what I expected. I mean,
yeah.
I wasn't expecting to to experience a traditional conference.
Hmm.
I was expecting to go to sessions, but I was not expecting it to have the same impact that it did, where this is going beyond just my business. This is going beyond all of that. And it was such a great experience for me. It was just as a person, it was a great
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, the TED Talks and then the last speaker where we had to write a little postcard to ourselves about what's going to happen to us in 10 years. That was hard for me to do. Me thinking of myself in the future, by then I'll be an empty nester, most likely. Those
Bird launcher, not an empty nester, a bird launcher.
oh, that's what I never heard that before. I love that.
I heard it somewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe it was the Mel Robbins podcast that I heard it, but it's the reframe. Instead of saying it's an empty nest, no, you're the bird launcher.
I
You're
love
sending them
that.
into the world to start their journeys of flying. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
like but the contrast of the different TED Talks, like Nicole's TED Talk about,
great job.
being like quiet with yourself, which is what Einstein did and Da Vinci did for the curiosity, just building that curiosity and the stuff that she started with the childhood trauma and how the people that overwork probably had the childhood trauma. That was like,
It was
whoa,
heavy. It
it
was
was super
definitely
heavy.
heavy.
Yeah.
Yes, for
And then you
sure.
go to Chad's thing about the online gambling and the app.
I
And then
actually downloaded the app while he was talking about it.
And then Dr. Jasmine, she started off with those deep questions like, what part of my thinking is not mine? Like that, those type of questions she asked about the AI. I was like, gosh, that is so deep.
That's what I'm saying. Like the uprising was not what I expected at all.
Yeah. And
In
I warned you, I was like, this is going to be like when you leave a wedding, when you're like part of a bridal party and you spend 3 days with the same people, and then you're like, I don't want to leave, or like camp. Like the thing is, like, most of these conferences are at these like fancy hotels. This
That's
is, you're nestled in the woods of the Smoky Mountains.
amazing. It was so the the location of it was unbelievable. And, you know, going to talk to everyone. Like everyone just had such a different perspective, different
Yeah.
backgrounds. I love Scott Martin's talk, where
Yes.
his personal brand talk about intimacy at scale and invite to delight and invite more delight and then
Yeah.
reward them, which essentially is what Mark embodied through the uprising. And it was, oh my God. I mean,
And how was your session? I didn't attend your breakout session because I was calling my kids at that time, but you had your own branded session. What did you cover?
So I talked a little bit about my background. I talked a little bit about, there were some questions about personal brand versus company brand and just some like discussion around the difference about that. And I
Hmm.
think for people who have worked in brand for a long time, it's a conversation that comes up frequently.
Yeah.
Like personal brand, like it's hard for them to wrap their hands around personal brand because a lot of people that come from that background, there are a lot of people who come from the school of thought is there is no such thing as personal brand. And
Wow.
and
Like that's
and
such an
how it's
insightful thing.
changed.
That was such a mic drop moment that when you get those mic drop moments and you're about to sneeze,
Yeah.
I'm holding my sneeze because that was such a that was such a
Yeah.
mic drop. I'm like, I'm gonna grab the tissue in case I do sneeze. But that when you hear something so insightful that you're about to sneeze,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
repeat that
Yeah.
again for the people in the back that are multitasking. Repeat that again.
Oh my gosh, now I have to remember what I said. Um, when we were talking about personal brand, and there's a lot of people that don't think that personal brand is a thing.
Yeah.
And the thing is I think what it is just the education, the continuing education of how the industry has changed,
Yeah.
how things have been, how it was a great conversation, and how things have evolved over time, and just really understanding that, and I get into this conversation with a lot of people
Hmm.
frequently that do not work in marketing, that whether they work in the legal profession or they're founders or they work in, some other abstract industry where they don't believe that they need to have a face behind their brand. And I feel very strongly that you need a face behind your brand. And
Yeah,
it doesn't
obviously.
matter
Yeah.
the platform. Wherever
Yeah.
your audience is. If your audience
Yeah.
is on podcast, then you need to be talking on podcast. If it's on Instagram, then you need to be on Instagram. If
By
it's
the way, this is a plug. We want to be on podcasts. So anyone that's listening to this, if you have
yes,
a podcast, this is the salesperson inside of me. I'm like, we want to be on a podcast. We can make it fun and we have little prompts like tissues.
yes, exactly. But
Yeah, yeah,
there, there, it was a great conversation, and it was, well attended, and it was so great. It was more of just like a conversation
Yeah,
versus
I heard there was one guy that kept asking questions. And then what I love about the uprising is you went running with him the next day.
I
There's a
know.
little running trail, right?
Yes, we did. We went running together, and he was asking questions,
Yeah.
and that's okay because he's trying to understand how things have changed in the industry that he's been working in. And
Hmm.
so that's cool. And it was
Yeah.
great. I mean, just getting different perspective is always helpful because you
Yeah.
never know what other people are thinking, and different perspective also helps you think about what you're saying and how you're saying it
Yeah.
and what you could be saying and all those things. So
Yeah, and I guess we should wrap up with this, like Mary Lang's the presentation again, back to the postcard, the example that she talked about, and the agentic commerce, a agents shopping for you, 3.3 to 5 trillion of global consumers by 2030. And the thing that stood out to me, because I'm a tree hugger, is the carbon footprint of AI usage and customers wanting to know. Like, I want to know if your face is using all this AI. Like the tree hugger in me wants to know this type of stuff.
I was on a call the entire time that Mary was presenting. I know.
No.
I actually reached out to her through Instagram and said, I'm going to come to Brooklyn to like have lunch or coffee or something.
Yeah,
But I mean, it is definitely a real thing, what's happening
yeah,
with that
yeah,
and just the usage of what it's going to be like on Earth. I mean, and that
yeah,
goes back to what Mark and Joe were talking about, like what's going to happen in 18 months?
yeah,
What does the future of marketing look like?
yeah,
What are we,
yeah,
and how are we going to better ourselves and our clients and the future generations of marketers? What is that going to be and what is it going to look like? So I don't know. I definitely think I read about the uprising, obviously before attending, and I really felt that it was
yeah. And that reminds me. So
incredible
you asked me
experience.
how I knew Mark. How did you hear about Mark, and what you must have met him and then jumped on the uprising immediately, or did you know
No,
him ahead of time?
no. So I never knew Mark. So I read Belonging to the Brand, and I searched him out on Instagram and LinkedIn and started
Yeah.
following him. And then I saw that he was hosting this event, and I was watching him post the photos from the uprising, and I was like, this looks really cool.
Mm.
And so I reached out and I said, hey, I know that I'm late this year, but can I
Yeah.
attend next year? And he said, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's how I discovered Mark. It was really through Amazon. The Amazon algorithm
Oh
serendipity
my
when I was looking
goodness.
for a book.
And
So,
how it's changed your life too, because like I said, we have that group,
yeah,
and then it's like I think there's something about going to the uprising that changes you as a marketer. And it's like that it's a retreat. It's not a conference. It's specifically labeled as a retreat because
yeah.
like I said, you're nestled in the Smoky Mountains. You're in this cute little lodge with the most delicious food.
I want
Even
to
the
go
food is,
back, like not for the uprising. I just want to go back and stay there to
yeah,
enjoy and have
yeah.
the experience of staying at that place because it was so
I
amazing.
always tell people you have to diet because you start eating all the food.
But you want
Yeah.
to know something? I'm dairy free and gluten free, and I'm the biggest pain in the ass ever to order dinner with. They were
Yeah.
so accommodating to me.
Mhm.
Everything was excellent.
Yeah.
Just the entire experience. I had some things that I couldn't fit in my suitcase, and they
Mhm.
shipped it back to my house for me. And
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
yeah, it was such a great experience, and they were just very nice there. And
Yeah.
it's right by, is it Martinsville College?
Yes, yeah, Maryville College.
Maryville College.
So the RT Lodge is near Maryville College, right outside of Knoxville.
It was such a great experience. I took away so much from that event. I really did. It was
Yeah,
fantastic.
I think that for me was I lived in Tennessee up until recently. So if you saw me being quiet or very, very quiet, because I'm not very quiet at all, it's the thought that I'm no longer living in Tennessee and how life has changed now that I moved up north. So that was super intense. And the
Yeah,
allergies. The allergies
yeah.
killed me, but that yeah.
But it was beautiful. It was
Yeah.
such a nice time. He put together just such a great experience, and that's really
Yeah.
what I would call it, is it was an experience that, if someone is serious about their career, if they're serious about learning from other marketers, because that was the other thing that
Yeah.
I really took away. And this might go to what you said earlier about North versus South.
Yeah.
No one was competing
Yeah.
for like who's the smartest, who's the
Yeah.
loudest, who's the
Yeah.
most successful. And I feel that a lot of times when you get groups of people together,
Hmm.
there's some of that
Yeah.
exists.
Hmm.
And I didn't feel like it was like that, which was really surprising, but
Yeah.
it's really nice that it wasn't.
And the thing is that we had those breakout sessions. So I led one of the breakout sessions where we had about, 7 to 10 people, depending on people's schedules. But I
Yeah.
think it was so good that every day we had a chance to recap what
Mm,
we learned. And I made sure that people always get a takeaway and an action item.
yeah.
What was covered, what really stood out, what really resonated with people. That was so important because we can get inundated so much, but taking that breather intentionally for that 1 hour.
It was so good. It was so well worth the trip, the time. And, I just wish that I got to spend more time with you while we were there together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. That I was a little overwhelmed because I'm like, I know so many people from past years because this is my first fifth time going. And then all the new cool people, I want to get to know them. And then I had my mentor there too. So it was like, oh my goodness. And then my accountability buddy, because when I did the breakout session 2 years ago, I assigned people with accountability buddies. So you keep up with them over time. So
That's so
me and
smart.
her.
I love
So
that.
every 2 weeks, every 2 Mondays, we keep each other accountable.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we finally got a chance to catch up and talk.
Yes, definitely. Melanie, I'm so glad we had this chance. I'm really grateful that we had this time to ourselves to share with everyone what we
Yeah.
learned.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to say about the uprising?
No, I think we covered everything. I'm looking through my notes here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much. I mean, there's so much. And I will tell you, one of the things that I wrote down that I'd been working on that I
Mm.
hadn't executed on yet was a webinar series for myself,
Oh, I love it.
and I launched it. I finally just put it into action. So that was one of my accountability things for myself that I wanted to do that I wrote down that I wanted to do. And
That's awesome. Good job. That's wonderful.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. I can't wait to see. Yeah, I think I seen it already on LinkedIn. Yes. Yeah. Awesome. All right, Melanie. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. We can press the stop record button.